good? We're back in this thing. Today we're going to be going over two simple transitions that Cole did in the Motley Crue music video that he just did for Post Malone. I think the turnaround for the project was like 72 hours, I think he said, in a behind the scenes video. So it's definitely more of a simple video, but that doesn't mean it's not done well, and there's still effects and transitions that he did. They're just a lot more simpler and less noticeable. But when you do transitions like that, you got to make sure that you know how to do everything right, because if it is a little off, it will just look cheesy and not really proper. So I think these two transitions are really good for people that just want to do like a really clean edit on a video, or maybe you just have like a turnaround time that's pretty quick like this video. You can use them in more complex edits and everything, but I think that's primarily where these two transitions really stand out. If you're new here, what's good? My name is Brian. I make music video tutorials here on YouTube. I upload 3 times a week, and we're on the road to 100,000 subscribers. If you're not subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe. It's free, as well as like and comment. It really does help push my content to other people that want to see it, and it's really appreciated. If you want to level up your music video editing game, as well as support the channel and save some time while editing, you can go over to my website, briandalmata.com, check out my packs and presets. We're actually going to be using my texture pack in this video to kind of spice up a transition that he did and kind of just give it a little bit more of a unique look. It's the best way to support the channel and keep me uploading 3 times a week, as well as get yourself some really cool looks. But yeah, guys, that's enough talking. Let's get into the video and break down the sequence. All right, so now that we're in After Effects, I'm going to be showing you how to do the sequence I made. It's basically just recreating transitions that he did in the music video. So I'll be going over that. I'll just go ahead and play it real quick. You can see there's like these freeze frames that slide in. They're really smooth, as well as these picture transitions. So I'll go a little slower here. You can see he's sliding in, and the background fades in, and it's really, really clean. It's kind of like a little bit more advanced of a freeze frame transition, if you're familiar with those. And then I'm also going to be showing how to do this kind of picture transition that I also use my texture pack on to get this paper look. Link will be in the description if you're interested. And then this is pretty much the same thing, but I actually rotoscoped here instead of using a freeze frame like I did the first clip. They're both really similar and the concept's exactly the same. So I'm probably just going to be going over one. You just either rotoscope or use a freeze frame. So for that freeze frame / rotoscope, like smooth transition, you basically just need 2 clips. For example, we're going to use this one of Post here, and then Post here in the NASCAR jacket. Super dope with a Lyrical lemonade patch, the Bud Light patch. Really, really cool stuff. Yeah, so all you need to do is duplicate your layer that you want to transition into. I'm going to right click here, go to time, and then click freeze frame. That's going to make this whole layer a completely frozen frame. And then I'm going to go to left 10 to 20 frames. I think I'm going to do 15 for the tutorial. So if you hold shift and go previous frame, it's going to go 10, and then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To make it 15, drag that over, and then trim it so it ends right where that clip starts. So now you can see if you play it, it's a frozen frame, and then it goes to the clip. I'm going to be doing a freeze frame for the first one, so I'm going to go to the pen tool. If you scroll in with your scroll wheel, it should allow you to zoom in more, and then if you hold H on your keyboard, it should allow you to use this hand tool and move around. It's a lot easier to get more accurate of a pen tool, so just keep that in mind. If you're not super familiar with the pen tool, maybe it's better to do a rotoscope. I think it's a little easier, I guess, to use the tool, but the pen tool is fairly easy once you get the hang of it. Just click and drag to make curve points, and then if you just click point to point, it makes a straight line. And if you really don't know how to use it, I remember when I first started, you can actually just go ahead and click straight lines just more often to make them look curved a little bit. And then for this transition, I'm actually just going to cut out this part right here. So this side, but I'm going to leave this side in with the racetrack. So to do that, I'm just going to go ahead, cut out one side. So now you can see it has Post and then the race car back here with the track, and then go to fit. I'm going to click off that, and you can see it's a little bit harsh of a mask. I'm going to go ahead and double tap M on my keyboard here to bring up the mask options, and then just feather it a little bit. That looks pretty good, around 11 pixels. And then you can play with the expansion to make it go out further or in further, depending on if you messed up the mask a little bit. For our case, I'm not going to do any of that actually. And then I'm going to go to toggle switches and modes down here until you see this option with the motion blur. Make sure to turn on the motion blur here. Turn on motion blur on the freeze frame. And then also turn on the 3D layer. You don't really need to use 3D layer. I just think it adds a little bit extra of an element. Not exactly sure if Cole did it. It's not really necessary. I guess you could probably just use it as a 2D layer. So you could just do this and play with the scale, position, and rotation. But we're just going to add one extra step in and play with the scale, position, and then the different rotations. So I'm going to go ahead and keyframe the scale, position, and then all the rotations, and maybe scale it in just a little bit, maybe like 120. And then I like to rotate it before we move it off frame. So just kind of whatever you think looks good. You rotate it up a little bit like this. Just make it a little bit more 3D looking. It kind of emulates almost like it's a rotoscoped out layer instead of just a freeze frame. So that's what I'm gonna go ahead and do, and then bring the scale over. I like to start it where it kind of starts a little bit on frame because it's gonna come in with motion blur anyways. So it's better to just have a little bit of it showing from my experience. So maybe something like that, and then go to the last frame here, and then I'm gonna control click on all these different ones that we have the stopwatch selected on. Right click and click reset, and that's going to bring it to the natural spot. So now you can see if we play it, it slides in, and it's pretty close to the transition. Obviously, it's a little bit harsher of a transition right now. So there's a few things we can do to fix that. First thing I'm going to do is highlight all the keyframes and right click and go to keyframe assistant and go to easy ease. It's a little bit smoother, but it's still not as smooth as his transition. As you can see here, kind of blurs in and there's this fade. And I'll be showing you how to do that obviously in a second here. So to go ahead and get that fade in, what I'm gonna go ahead and do is duplicate the layer once again, go to time, and then freeze frame again. So it's the same frozen frame. And then maybe go like 5 frames to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Drag that over here and then chop it so it ends there. So now you can see it kind of slides into this already frozen frame. And that looks obviously really weird, but I'm gonna go ahead and add Gaussian blur onto that, keyframe the Gaussian blur to whatever you think, really. I'm gonna maybe do something like 60, click repeat edge pixels so it fills out the edges here, keyframe the blurriness, and then go to the last frame and then reset it. Now you can see when we play it, it kind of has a little bit of a blur. Already looking a little bit better, but I'm also going to press T on my keyboard to bring up opacity. Start off that opacity down at 0 and then go to the end and keyframe it to 100. That way it fades in with the blur. Now we can see that kind of fades out. That's looking better already in my opinion too. But now we can see the mask. You can see Post Malone already here, and it's not really that big of a deal. But to fix that, I'm going to press U on my keyboard to bring up all the keyframes here. And I'm actually going to highlight the position keyframe, both of them, and then go to the graph editor. And then I'm going to make sure that the majority of the movement happens early on. As you can see here, it's going to move really fast and then slow right at the end. So now there's a little bit less of that overlay. I just think it adds a little bit more of a smoothness to it. And if you didn't see what I did, I just clicked on these keyframes down here. You can tweak the graph to whatever you think looks good. But I think for this, that's what looks good. It seems like it comes in a little bit jittery, so I'm actually just going to go ahead, make it a little bit less harsh. And we're almost done. I'm gonna go ahead and add some Gaussian blur onto this background layer here, the layer of Post Malone with the red solo cup in the background. And then I'm gonna keyframe it right at the start. The blurriness, also make sure to click repeat edge pixels and then go to the end here. And maybe bring it up to something around 60, whatever you think looks good. And now we can see it kind of blurs out and it almost creates like this depth of field transition here. And now you can see there's a little bit of a pause right here. And that's because I actually have this frame and this frame the same. So they're like, it's like 2 frames in a row of the exact same frozen thing. Sometimes when you go to freeze, it just makes it a little bit weird. So I'm just going to trim off 1 frame and move it over to the left. It's something that you might have to do too. Just if it doesn't look super smooth when you're done with this, then that's probably what the case is. So that's what I went ahead and did. And now you can see it smoothly slides in. And I think it's very similar to this transition right here. This one obviously is a rotoscope because we see Post Malone's face facing forward. And then towards the end, it gets facing to the left for him. So if there's a little bit of character movement, I would recommend more so of a rotoscope. But for this case, you can't really see what's going on anyways. So I think a freeze frame works perfectly. And then for example, if we were to do this one, I would probably do a rotoscope here. But the next thing I'm going to be showing is this picture freeze frame transition where he has some just pictures playing and it kind of zooms out. It's really, really simple to do, but it's a super clean transition. I'm a fan of it when it's done in any music video, really. So what you're gonna want is some sort of pictures, right? So what I went ahead and did is just screenshot these frames here from the music video itself, but obviously these are pictures. So if you have pictures taken on set or whatever, I would recommend using those. If not, you can go ahead and find some frames that you like from your music video, screenshot it, and then turn it into this transition. And then I just like going like 3 frames each. So I just have these 3 frames. I did 4 on the last frame just to cover up his transition because I think his was 4 on the last frame as well. But it doesn't really matter. You can do 3 or you can 5 or whatever frames you think looks good. And now when you play that, you can see you have these pictures pop up and it's already kind of a cool transition. I'm going to be showing you how to add that movement to them as well as how to get that paper textures that I was showing. If you drag the paper texture in, go ahead and go to transform options. I'm just going to scale it down a little bit. Also rotate it just so it fits the screen a little bit better. You can see something like that fits really well. And then go to toggle switches and modes until you see the blending mode option here. And then go to screen. That's all you really need to do. You can go ahead and use the same picture or overlay the whole time. I'll have this linked below. It's on my website, brianalmada.com. If you're not familiar with my texture pack, I have a bunch of tutorials on it, kind of showing different ways to use it. This is way more of a simplistic use, but I still think it looks really clean. It's just a way to maybe make your transition a little bit more unique. Also, V2 is on the way very, very soon, so keep your eyes open for that. But if you want to go ahead and snag this one, like I said, I'll have a link in the description. So I'm just going to drag one last overlay on and then go to the transform one last time, bring the scale in. Maybe we'll have it go this way this time. Bring the scale in so you can see what's going on, rotate, and then screen again. Now we can see we have the pictures with the paper rips on them already. And then I'm just going to go ahead and control click all of these, go to pre-comp, and then name this picture transition. And then close out of that actually. And then now this way we can just scale them a lot easier. I'm going to go ahead, click scale. Maybe go to something like 105, 110, go 1 to 2 frames because we did every 3 frames. Then go ahead and reset this, go back so when it switches, bring it back up to 110. So every frame of the pictures is going to start zoomed in and then zoom out. So then we go 1, 2, reset it, go to the next frame, 110, and then go to the last frame, click scale, reset. And we can see we have this super clean transition. It's just a really good way to show what's going on in the music video, especially if you actually take pictures. The scene, it's just like a kind of almost like a behind the scenes look of what the music video set's like, or, you know, just kind of the vibe of the music video without really having extra footage. I always like taking pictures at music videos just because, you know, it's a good thing to post. It's just like an extra transition you can use, and I don't know. I'm a big fan of the picture transitions. And then lastly, the rotoscope transition. I'm actually not going to even go over it because it is the exact same concept as the freeze frame. Basically, all you need to do is, you know, have your 10 to 15 frames here, plain rotoscope out your subject. So you can go ahead and use the rotoscope tool if you're not familiar, and just do a quick rotoscope of your subject. Do that for all the frames all the way through. Click freeze, and then it's the exact same concept as the freeze frame with applying the effects and everything. Also in this music video, there's a lot of digital movement with the camera, and it's really clean, and it's really not even that noticeable, but if you're really paying attention, you can see it. So if you guys want a tutorial on something like digital motion, how to make smooth camera movement, transitions, all that stuff, digital, let me know in the comments. I was thinking about doing it for a while anyways, so that might be the next tutorial or something like that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you guys in this tutorial. If you made it all the way to the end, I really do appreciate you. Thank you very much. If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuffs, ring the bell, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, join the Discord, all that stuff. Support the channel, check out my packs and presets. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for you guys in this one.